I'm going to hit record on the meeting. And hello, everyone. I am Gregg Towsley from Grow Plumbing, and I am here to deliver a presentation with the goal of giving you a bulletproof marketing blueprint for your business, which will help you grow your business in 2016, whatever months are left, and 2017. So here you can see me, but I'm going to sign off right now, and we are going to get started. So again, thanks for joining the Bulletproof Marketing Blueprint for your plumbing and HVAC business, and we are going to jump right into it. And so what you're in for, and within the next 25 minutes, I'm going to share with you all of the knowledge and all of the experience that we have over the last 10 years working with plumbing and HVAC companies, helping them to get the phone ringing, get them more leads, more qualified leads, help them to simplify their business and grow their business, essentially. So we have what we call a marketing system, which I'm going to go through an overview. And if you can see my screen effectively here, you'll be able to see that what we have here is a Google document or a spreadsheet, and it has multiple tabs at the bottom. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through each one of those tabs. And first off, I'm going to give you an overview in about the first 10 minutes. Then after the overview, walk through, a live campaign and what it actually looks like. And then really after 20, 25 minutes, I'd like to open it up for questions and answer any questions that you have. We are on a GoToMeeting, so I can open up your microphone. But, as we're going along, and by the way, there's no need to take notes. I will record the session and provide every single document that we discuss and every single resource that we have. So there's no need to really take notes, but we can go through that. But if you have any questions along the line, please type those into the chat box, which is over here on the right-hand side. And then as we go along, I will either address those questions or what I will do is answer those questions at the end. So again, 25 minutes, we'll go through some of the material. Then if you have any questions, type them in. I'll answer those. But for the sake of it, let's jump right in. So traditionally, when you opened and operated and started or inherited a plumbing or HVAC business, the goal was to take out the biggest ad in the yellow pages. And essentially that was your marketing. Or you took out an ad in the newspaper, or you put flyers around the neighborhood. Well, there's this thing called the internet, which has come along, and mobile devices, and mobile has changed everything. So in marketing, we'd like to say the funnel has flipped. Whereas before it used to be traditional marketing, you create some awareness, you get some consideration, they do evaluation, and then they purchase. But nowadays, it's social media, it's talk, it's referrals, it's word of mouth, it's people's opinion, it's what they have to say about your company. So therefore, you don't have as much control over your marketing messages as you had before in the past. Therefore, it's what we call new marketing. So the way that people buy has not changed throughout the years. It always boils down to three elements. People need to know of you, they need to like you, and they need to trust you. No one is going to buy your plumbing services or your heating and air conditioning and ventilation business, services if they don't know, like, and trust you. So our goal with representing your business and providing services for plumbing and HVAC companies is we like to create one, online brand credibility, so people will know you and like you. Lead generation, which is getting your phone to ring and getting inbound inquiries, people looking to hire you. And then the last thing is proper channels for communication, with the goal of getting people to know you, like you, and trust you, so therefore they will buy from you. And this strategy that I'm going to go over, it all centers around getting more content in more places, which will bring you more customers. As you look at the slide here, this is your business. And granted, people aren't coming directly to your business. You're more, servicing a service area. But if you look at the different areas of content, over here, starting at the left, you have search engines, predominantly Google. And then you have online directories. Think of them like eLocal Plumbers or HVAC.com or YP.com or Yelp.com. And then you have sites and blogs. These are more like influencers. Think of like Instagram or, all of the trade magazines. Like Reeves Journal would be an example of a site or a blog. And then you have content-based sites like Flickr and YouTube and Vimeo and Ustream. And then review sites, which are huge. You have Google and Yelp and Insider Pages and all Angie's List and Home Advisor. Now Amazon's getting into the business, and then social sites like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And then you have location-based services. And then you have deal-based sites. Deal-based sites haven't gone. They're not the latest craze as of now. They've kind of gone down their path. But you can see that more content in more places creates more awareness, getting people to know about your services and your business. And you'll see that all plays into exactly what we're going to be discussing today. So there are 4 key elements to being successful with digital marketing and building a presence online. The first is what we call Google AdWords, which is called pay per click. And I'm sure we're all familiar with that. And there's a strategy associated with that, which we'll touch on. The second one is what we call SEO, or search engine optimization. I'm not a huge fan of that buzzword, because I don't really understand what SEO is. It's kind of like a wizard sprinkling pixie dust on your website. Next thing you know, you're ranking number 1 for a keyword. I like to call it search marketing, whereas there's a search engine everywhere you go. You run into Google, you have Bing, you have search within your email. Facebook, up at the top of the screen, has a search bar. Hashtags are all about search. So when we talk about search engine optimization, it's called search marketing, making sure that when somebody searches something that is very applicable to your business, they find you rather than your competition. Next is email marketing, which is huge. Amazon built a $1 billion business, soon to be a $1 trillion business. I believe that they're going to be the first business to ever do $1 trillion in market value, and they built their business on email marketing. When you buy a book from Amazon, 1 week later, you get an email from Amazon saying, "Hey, I hope you enjoyed that book. By the way, other really smart folks like you have also bought this book or books like this." And the last piece is social media, which is the common sites that we talk about on a regular basis, like Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn and Pinterest and Instagram and Snapchat. And all of those are opportunities for your business to communicate effectively and also to reach your target market. So let's jump right into what we call our digital marketing platform, or the Bulletproof plumbing marketing system. And for those of you that are really advanced in marketing, you've probably heard of HubSpot before. You've probably heard of Infusionsoft. You've probably heard of SharpSpring. These are marketing automation / CRM, all-in-one marketing systems is kind of the tagline that they go by. And what I'm going to show you today is really a re-engineering, reverse engineering of those systems. And it's brought to you, free. And so therefore, if you're familiar with those systems, you're probably going to resonate with some of this content that I'm sharing. And what we've done is with those systems, we've kind of broken them down into a spreadsheet, which is probably originally where their software idea started. And then they just put, very nice dressing on them. But that's really where a lot of this system came from. And we'll go through the various aspects around setting goals, And you can see, as we go down the list here, target market personas. In other words, who are your customers? What keywords should your business be known for, and how to do some of that keyword research, how to build content for your company, where to publish that content, and how to get that content published in the right area to the right audience. So again, you can be known for your business and build some trust, and then hopefully they will buy from you. We'll also get into online profiles and what is called link building and content syndication. And then we'll go into reporting and how to track and measure the activities that you're currently doing to ensure that you will be successful with your marketing. So that's kind of the document that we're going to go over. We're going to go through a live case study, a live client, so you can see it in real time. But right now I'll give you an overview of some of these different areas. And again, if you have any questions, type them in the chat box, and then we'll open it up to Q&A and go over some of the details. But the first aspect, before you start any marketing campaign, you got to set goals, you got to build a strategy, you got to do some planning, and figure out where you want to go and how you're going to get there. So just some key metrics, which we call KPIs, gets into tracking the number of, and here's just a simple spreadsheet, which again, this document will be provided to you. You can see the tabs here at the bottom, which you can use this yourself for your own marketing initiatives. Hand it off to your marketing firm to work with it, or hire us, either or. But not doing anything is actually hurting. And this is a marketing plan that continues to evolve. We get better at it every single day, but it is essentially a bulletproof plan. Whereas if you execute upon it and you do well in these areas, you will be successful. And when I say successful, that means beating your competition and getting more business in the door, getting more leads and more phone calls. So an example of, setting goals and having a plan, it all starts off with revenue, which you can see here. And then to get revenue, you need leads and phone calls and conversions. So, you could set a revenue number, whether it be, hey, I want to go from 1 million to 2 million or 10 million to 15 million. And from that revenue number, how many leads and how many new customers am I going to get from those new customers? What's my current conversion rate on my website? Of those new customers, how many visits do I need to get to my website to get that conversion rate? How many phone calls are going to be? And then what's the average revenue for a customer? So you can kind of play around with this spreadsheet, plug some numbers in which are applicable to your business to give you, kind of a goal. So figure, 2017, where do I need to be first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and it all starts from there. The next thing you want to do is, after you establish some of your goals, is to take a look at your market. Chances are you service a 10-mile radius or a 15-mile radius. One example is we've been able to work with a lot of our existing customers, reducing the service area because we have enough demand for plumbing projects and HVAC projects, and then just rather than having them service, San Francisco or, Miami, is just taking it down to a 10-mile radius and then servicing those areas. But you want to look at your competitors. And then here within the Bulletproof Marketing Plan, we have just a simple spreadsheet that anybody can really fill out. And here you can see on the left-hand column, you list your competitors, and then you fill in some of these statistics related to how well they're doing from a digital marketing perspective. So here you can see highlighted in gray, we just took Courtesy Plumbing. We looked at some of their competitors on the left-hand side. And, right here on, I can't see what column it is, but here you can see how many reviews does a competitor have on their Yelp page, on their Google page, on their Yahoo page. What are they doing on social media? Here you can see Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and LinkedIn and Pinterest. And here we track how many friends or likes or connections they have. Then we can get into a little bit nuts and bolts, which you can get into how much traffic do they have, how many pages do they have in their website, how many links do they have, what type of money are they spending on pay per click, which is Google AdWords. And there's some free tools. You can always reach out to me later and take a look at some of these tools. SEM Rush is a pretty good tool to give you all this information just by plugging in a website address. Majestic SEO is another pretty good tool. Also, Keyword Spy is a pretty good tool. But, obviously just reach out to me and I'll give you a list of tools, or, I'll do this for you for free. Take a look at your top 10 competitors and see where you stack up. The goal here is, if you want to be the dominant player within your geographic area, within your marketplace, is you have to have a website with a lot of content on it. You need to have a lot of people talking about your website, which are inbound links, people linking to you. Pay-per-click is a key strategy. You have to pick good keywords to be known for. You have to be active on social media, because that's exactly what Google looks for when they look for a company that is trustworthy. You also have to be very strong within online reviews, which are other people talking about your business. So if you are the market player and if you're dominant within your area, you're going to get the lion's share of work. So that's called competitive analysis. The next aspect of a solid, bulletproof marketing campaign is to understand exactly who your customer is. We call them target market personas. And here within the Bulletproof marketing plan, which again will be emailed to you in a Excel document or a Google Doc, either or. If it's a Google Doc, you can easily download as Excel. But here we list out 6 potential target market personas for your plumbing and HVAC business. And I'll just touch on these very briefly. One is the homeowner. And we list out the age, the gender, the title, the geography, which I left blank here. But again, that 10-mile radius, and what are the various cities that you want to target, whether it be the high net worth area of town or the other side of the tracks, whatever it might be. And you also list on places that they hang out. They're active on Yelp and Facebook. Next thing is the real estate agent. I'll speed up through this, but the real estate agent. Then you have the small business owner. Think of Susie Cupcakes, or think of Jane's Crafts. Next thing you have the restaurant entrepreneur, which he owns 7 restaurants. The next thing you have is the fellow contractor, the roofer, the painter, the landscaper, who give you referral-based business. And then the last one that we have here down here on the right, I should put names for each one of these people, or actually I do some of them. But we have the property manager or the facilities manager, who might be in charge of managing a complex of, say, 25 to 30 different apartments, which tends to be a very, very good client. So understanding when your phone rings, it is essentially one of these 6 people. And if I missed any, let me know. But as soon as your CSRs or your customer service representative or your dispatch or whoever answers the phone, even if it's you answering the phone, to quickly identify and to put in your mind, okay, this is a real estate agent. All right, she doesn't have any money. She's going to try to put the money off on the seller or the homeowner. It's going to be a longer sales process. It's going to be a pain in the butt. The small business owner, all right, they have a problem. They need it fixed immediately. They don't care as much about price. The psychodemographics is responsive, speed, quality, reputation, not cost sensitive. Homeowner, they're going to be slow to make a decision. They're going to want DIY, which is do it yourself. Do it yourself. Yeah, do it yourself. They're going to be, slow. They're going to be very, very cost conscious. The restaurantpreneur is not going to want to pay you. He's going to be like, oh, I'll send you an invoice. As long as I pay you within 60 days, we're good. And he's going to try to leverage the fact that he's got multiple businesses, the fact that he's always looking for somebody. And then we have the fellow contractor. He's like, hey, again, I get a referral fee, reciprocity, win-win, help me, help you, word of mouth, maybe looking out for the best interests of his client. And then we have the property manager who, you know, man, if you land her and you just have consistent truck, maybe consistent work, maybe you hire, maybe you hire an additional person just to do all of the work for that particular facility manager. So really identifying who's calling you as these inbound leads come in, and then tailoring your conversation specifically to service their needs and to respond appropriately to them. So we talked about doing competitive analysis, seeing where you stand as it relates to your competition, building a strategy related to how you're going to go after them. We talked about your target market personas and who you want to go after. The next aspect is keyword research, which here within the digital marketing plan, we have listed the top 100 most searched words related to plumbing and HVAC. I wasn't able to list them all here, but within this digital marketing plan, which I will email you, you have all of the specific keywords, and the list goes on and on and on, downwards of 100 here. And then what I suggest, just as a very broad marketing, is list your service areas based upon towns or areas. And by the way, it's pretty easy to do a Google search just to find these specific areas. So for this example, we've listed out Covina, West Covina, Pasadena, and if I flip over here and I scroll a little bit to the right, to the right here, we list out Glendora, Hacienda Heights, Rucho, Cucamonga, Alhambra, and you get the idea. And then you want to use a tool called Merge Words and put the term Covina followed by the most searched keywords. And again, you're really targeting specific geographic areas. And this is kind of the basis of how your pay-per-click campaign could be set up, whereas you have keywords right here, followed by geography, which could be ad groups, which then sends people to specific geographic-based pages of your website, which also highlight those keywords. We'll talk a little bit about that. But keyword research, it's done for you. Download the document. Make sure you're coming up high on search engines specific to those geographic terms. The next piece, as we segue through the plumbing marketing system or the Blueprint marketing system, is we have link building and directory submission. You can see from the icons here, you're probably very familiar with these websites. And the idea is more content in more places and having profiles built, which is a form of link building. If you know search pretty well, link building, is the currency of the internet. So on the digital marketing blueprint, we have highlighted the most important directories, the most important social media sites, the most important social bookmarking sites. And if you are a do-it-yourself type marketer, one of my recommendations is just tackle each one of these sites. Do 2 per night for the next couple nights while you're watching in TV. Build a profile on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram and Reddit and StumbleUpon. Each one of these sites gives you a link back to your website, and each one of these is similar to the yellow pages. If you have 2 or 3 yellow pages in your service area, you want to be listed in every yellow pages. The internet is the wild west, is very, very broad. So getting a profile, and then you can see the plumbing directories and media-based sites. You probably, as you scroll down this list, you've probably heard and seen a lot of these various sites. So getting a profile on there helps increase the awareness of your business, and it helps to increase the credibility of your business, which is a form of link building. The next aspect is creating content. And as we always say in the marketing world, content is king. And the reason why content is important is because Google looks for, when somebody searches a plumbing company within your geographic area, for instance, San Francisco Plumbing Company, Google looks at all of the sites, all of the companies that service the San Francisco area that do plumbing, and they look plumbing or HVAC, and they look for the most credible business. And a credible business is a business that, one, has active reviews on Yelp and Facebook and Yellow Pages and Google Local. It has new, fresh, relevant content on its website, whether those be geographic pages or blog, providing useful information. And they also look for, how long you've been in business. So creating new, fresh, relevant content is crucial for your business. And we've boiled it down to make it such that it is not hard. So the first step for your business is to create geographic based content. So again, back to your keywords, an example of geographic based content would be to build out your service area. I'm going to show you a quick example. So if we just pull up, a typical website, I'll just use this example because I'm going to use it within the case study. Courtesy Plumbing, you can see here at the bottom, they list out there are 20 different geographic areas, and as you click on each one of these geographic areas, it's a page dedicated to that geographic area. So that's a form of new, fresh, relevant content. And then if you click over to their blog, you can see that, new, fresh, relevant content is being posted on a regular basis. We've simplified it for you within the idea creation tool, which again is just an aspect of the digital marketing. And here you can see we talked about the online profiles, creating content. And here you can see within this spreadsheet that I'm going to send you, here we've highlighted green means that it has been posted. But back to the tool, we've given you some examples of some headlines which you can review. And then to do this effectively, you can write a short description about what that article is about. What keywords are you targeting? H1 is stands for heading, so that would be a bolded characters describing what the next paragraph is about. And generally, you have 3 headlines: a good call to action, like call for service if you are experiencing this need, and then as you publish it, or you can essentially hand this off to a copywriter to populate this information. And the campaign is specific to the target market persona. So you can see Janet here, Janet. And if we go back to our target market personas, let's see here, you will see that Janet is a real estate agent. So should I get a plumbing inspection before I buy a home, or should I get an HVAC inspection before I buy a home? And you can see that we wrote it specifically to her. Once it's published, we start the syndication of that, which is getting it out onto various platforms like Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn and that sort of stuff. So as you're doing your competitive analysis and you are building online profiles and active on social media profiles, and you know who your personas are, you want to track and measure how well you're doing on a monthly basis. So part of being active on social media as you're posting content is to get friends and followers and connections. So here within the Bulletproof marketing system, we keep track of on a monthly basis how many social media connections you have. And when you track and measure something, it tends to get better on a monthly basis. Also, most importantly, is brand reputation management for your business. So how many reviews do you have on Yelp and Google and Yahoo and Bing and Angie's List and Home Advisor? And what is the current rating of those? Usually it's a 5-star rating. Is your business a 3? Is it a 4? Is it a 4.5? Or do you have all 5-star ratings? So keeping track and measuring that on a monthly basis, which I'll show you a live campaign here. As we get into social reach, here's an example of how you can track and measure that on a monthly basis, and you can see that the months go by here up at the top, and then you have we call them tier one social media platforms, which is also your email list. How many connections do you have? How many likes do you have? How many, subscribers do you have? You know, um, and then you track that, and then you add that up at the bottom, and then how many reviews do you have on Yelp and Google, and then obviously you want that to grow on a monthly basis. So keeping track of tracking and measuring is important. So I'll get into a case study which I've been kind of teetering on back and forth, and then we'll wrap it up for any questions that we have out there. Again, if you do have any questions, just type those into the chat box, and I'll be happy to address those. But regarding the case study, which some of you have reviewed already, here you can see that here's just an example, and this is one example. We have about 19 other examples that we'd be happy to share, but I've just picked one to try to keep it clear and concise. Here you can see on my screen, this is Jeff Taylor. I actually met with him yesterday, and he's been in business since 1970, located here in Los Angeles, or technically Covina, California, which is part of the San Gabriel Valley. So it's actually east of Los Angeles. They predominantly do plumbing and drain cleaning, so they don't get involved with HVAC, but they came to us about 3 years ago, and their goal was to generate more leads and to grow their business. They wanted to double in size from say 2 million to 4 million, and we've been able to achieve some of those goals. We needed to rework their website, so we worked with them with a local web designer to redesign their website, get more pictures of their business. When I say pictures of their business, using stock photography generally doesn't work very, very well. So what we wanted to do, and I'll pull up their website right here, we wanted to make it feel more like a family-based business, which it is. And so here you can see we had the photographer line up a bunch of trucks, line up a bunch of the technicians, and you can see Jeff here. So just to make it feel like, all right, I know these guys. Yes, I've heard of them before. I like them. They seem likable, and I also trust them. Me seeing that they're local, I see their trucks around town. So that was part of the strategy, and to incorporate, actual images on their website. And part of their biggest challenge is that they were spending a lot of money on Yelp, and they were spending a lot of money on Google pay-per-click, but they were also servicing a really large area, going into Los Angeles, going into the Inland Empire, going into even San Diego for that matter. So one of the things we've done for them is reduce their amount of money that they're currently spending. So you can see that their cost has gone down to the right. And these graphs aren't perfect, but they do give you a sense of, kind of some of the growth that we've been able to achieve. And then I'll move into a monthly report, which goes into more detail. But we wanted to reduce their service area, which one cuts down on windshield time. When I say windshield time, meaning that it takes less time to respond to a customer, to get to a customer site. Also, it keeps a smaller customer base if you need to go back to that customer. It saves you money on gasoline. Here in California, gas is very, very expensive. And it also helps you narrow your marketing, which essentially helps you become a bigger fish in a smaller pond. So those are some of the key things that we were able to accomplish for them, and which you can take away as, hey, there's enough demand within a smaller geographic area, depending upon where you are in the country. But tightening up your marketing, becoming more strategic, helps you accomplish some of those goals that we talked about. Also, being active on social media, which you'll see the growth in that area. Reducing spending, and then just being super aggressive around what we call your conversion rate. Conversion rate is calculated by the number of visits that come to your website divided by the number of phone calls and the number of email inquiries. And if you can improve your conversion rate, that will lower your cost per lead. So for an HVAC and a plumbing company, you guys are very, very fortunate such that the average conversion rates are 25 to 35%. And on mobile devices, which everything is mobile now, it's usually 35 to 40%. So as long as you're targeting mobile visitors within a 10-mile radius, you're going to see 35 to 45%. So every 100 visits to your website, you're going to get 30 phone calls, which compared to plastic surgeons and dentists and doctors and lawyers and, maybe not locksmiths, but other professions, nobody enjoys those conversion rates as well as you do. So just to wrap up, a typical monthly reporting that we do for an existing client, or what you can expect from your marketing agency, or what you can actually do for yourself on a monthly basis. I'll just show you an example of a monthly report. We call them campaign activity and summary reports. Again, for Courtesy Plumbing. Here you can see this is a lot of this has been extracted from the digital marketing blueprint that I shared with you that you'll be getting in the resource kit after this call. And here you can see we just track the month, and then we list out the various sources at which leads come in, i.e. Home Advisor, Amazon, Angie's List, Yelp. We list out your conversion rate, what you're currently spending on pay-per-click, search. Search we call SEO, how much it costs per click. And some of these metrics are very standard across a lot of our clients. When I say standard, meaning that they're in line with what we're currently seeing. And then tracking the number of leads, which is phone calls and email inquiries, tracking the number of leads, the cost per lead to generate that conversion, and then tracking the conversion rate, number of visits divided by how many leads you're getting. Then we have what we roll up a dashboard, which you will see here, just a handful of key metrics that we suggest tracking on a monthly basis. Again, back to your dashboard. And we track, related to traffic, where visitors coming from, related to search, how are they doing once they visit our website? How many are mobile visits versus regular visits? How many pages do they visit? Which pages are they visiting? Social media, Facebook and Google and Twitter and, Yelp leads, and then the total number of leads and conversion rate. So here again, this is your digital marketing blueprint, which has all these tabs here at the bottom. So you can, just like you would your profit and loss statement on a monthly basis. How much money did we spend? How much money did we bring in? And what's left for me? And hopefully there's some left for you. So keeping track of that on a monthly basis. Then we get into some of the more analytical aspects of the website. This is from Google Analytics. So, total website visitors, what's the traffic sources, paid versus organic versus social. And then the idea is to track ROI based upon every single platform. So, how much is a phone call from Yelp? How much is a phone call from Angie's List? How much is a phone call from Amazon Home Services? And you get the idea. Therefore, if you want more business, which areas of your digital marketing plan generate the most amount of phone calls for the least amount of money? And then a slide that I like to show is based upon your geographic areas, your 10-mile radius or 20-mile radius, how many visitors are you getting from that geographic area? So here you can see they service West Covina, Chino, San Diego, Pasadena, Upland, Arcadia, Rowland Heights. And are we attracting visitors within those geographic areas? This is very, very easily accessed within your Google Analytics account, but it's an area that you want to focus in on because who cares if you're getting visitors from California if your business is not located in California? You want people within your geographic area that show up on the map who are calling. Then we talked about this before, social media reach and online reviews, tracking and measuring. The only way to get better at anything is if you track and measure. Then we get into the various channels. Channels are just ways that you're generating phone calls. You can see here's just a here's just a screenshot from, your Yelp account that you would look at. This is the 24 months, but how many messages are we getting? This is from Amazon Home Services, just another channel. And then as we go full circle back to where we started, you can see that the perfect strategy is pay-per-click, search, email, and social. And pay-per-click is a very effective search campaign within a very specific geographic area, and making sure that you're not overpaying and that you have a high quality score. So here you can see the 5 key metrics to running an effective. You can give yourself a score. And then related to search, how much content are you creating? What's the syndication of that content? Give yourself a score. Email marketing, how often are you asking for reviews? What's the conversion rate every time you ask for a review from an existing client? Chances are it's between 2 and 4%. Are you doing a quarterly or even a yearly or a bi-yearly email update to all your customers, letting them know, Thanksgiving's around the corner, so you can give yourself a score. Social media, are you active on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and YouTube? And, how effectively are you communicating on each and every single one of those channels? Give yourself a score. And then, you want your business to get better over, year after year. So let me look. Unless there's any questions, it's a wrap. We do this for our clients. You can do it for yourself. You can hand this off to your marketing agency. But I think not doing this would be a disservice to your business, because we all walk around with mobile devices in our pocket. It's a search engine, and it's really the future of advertising and marketing. And I'll leave you with a quote. Bill Gates said it best. And this was a quote from Bill Gates back in 2000. He said there are 2 types of businesses in the future. Businesses that are on the internet and businesses that are no longer in business, because everything is moving to the internet. So I'll open it up for any questions. And if I don't see any pop in, I thank you everyone for your time. I've recorded the session and I will get this out to everybody. So thanks so much. Feel free to contact me. I'm sure everybody has my contact information. Thanks so much. Bye now.